Hello guys, welcome to another 3D Raycaster tutorial. Today we are going to do episode 3. So I know I forgot something. Just hold up 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. My scripts did save very well. But yep, this is where we left off last episode. Yes, the game that has literally no sprites showing on it at all. Yep. Today we're going to go over some enhancements and also the ability to add entities into the level. Yeah, we're going to do both of those at the same time, by the way, because I don't know correct order. Anyways, first off, detach these scripts. We will keep these in a custom block called player tick, like a tick of a clock. Got that off Griff patch, by the way. Just so yeah, just plop that in there. Is that right? Yeah, it's rather screen fresh. But you don't want to keep this block here. This was for broadcasting Raycast. That is not part of player movement. So we just attach that back up there. Now we're going to be using the player's direction a lot more. That's why we created the dir variable. But now we're gonna make it official. Initialize Raycaster. Run that screen refresh. This will initialize the Raycaster. So just pop that in there before the broadcast Raycast. This needs to happen before then. Now we're going to make new variable camera dir. And another one called DV. So set camera dir, and this is just gonna be simply set to the direction of this sprite. Now we're going to set up the DV variable. This one's it's a little trickier. Okay. So we're going to get it divided by block, and we're going to do half of the screen width, and then we're going to use not a very common block, but the tan block. Not that much used. Then another divided by. Now we're going to do 4 divided by 2. That is all we're going to do here. And then we're going to make some space here. And we're just going to add 2 more broadcasts to this forever loop. That's all we're going to do with the player sprite. New broadcast in. Entity tick. And another new one. Paint. That's all we're going to do with the player sprites. We're going to move over to the Raycaster sprite. Just making sure all my notes are here. Real quick, we are going to just put all the setup code, like the set for res variables, into the player sprite permanently now. So yeah, just shove that up top. Blocks, and then back into the Raycaster sprite. Clean up all the blocks. So now we are going to quote unquote completely mess up this code now. The beautiful code we've done. First up, remove the pointer direction block. And remove the turn left block. And the turn right block. This may seem mad now, since if we run this, then all of the lines are the same size and everything kind of breaks. Because there's no turning going on. But instead, we are going to swap these out with a pointing direction block. This may seem confusing since the other system was way more confusing, but this will end up giving us a pretty good result. Also, by the way, I'm going to up my resolution to 6 because. So add a addition block, and then the camera dir variable. Oh, and by the way, we just go. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just going to just delete the dir variable. We're not going to need it anymore anyways. So then we're going to use the A tan. This is the inverse of the tan. And then we're going to divide the x variable by the new dv variable. Take a look at what this does to our raycaster. Still learning how this works. Okay. Why don't I try to look at my code? Maybe the definition of DV? No, they're both the same. That's wrong. Ah, I see. Actually, remove this block. That was a mistake. You want to keep the scan lines block in there. But look at this. Look at the raycast. It's still working despite we absolutely murdered the look how straight the walls are. They are way straighter. Also, by the way, how come the full variable doesn't change how tall the lines are? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. So what we can do is remember the 4,000 value. Let's just shove the dv variable right where it is. This will cause it to be the same as a 1 pixel wide costume. That's way too small. So we just multiply that by 10, making it way thicker than before. Running that now, look what happens when we slide the FOV slider. It zooms in and out. Ooh. The further away it is, the smaller the lines. So it's like a telescopic lens, as Griffpatch put it. I'm making a lot of references to his because that's where I'm getting all my info from. Yeah, that's it for this sprite. This sprite is perfect. In fact, all our sprites are. So, how come the video's not over yet? Because of the entity tick and paint event. Let's create a new sprite. We'll name it. Whoops. God. Entities. And again, we're going to need this hitbox costume. It is very useful. And then just delete this costume. And then if I go in and we can grab it and move it around. Okay, so now for initial starts. Okay, when green flag clicked, set rotation style to don't rotate. Then we will set size to 225. And then, let me just click this script. I'm going to set the, to, right here. Here. Yeah, it seems like a good spot. So then we can grab it a go to XY block, which is now set to that new position. And finally, this is going to be for later, but set drag mode to draggable. You'll see what that does in a second. Next up, we need to handle the entity tick event. So what we want to do is use the same structure that we used for raycasting level in order to bring the entity. So, I'm not explaining it too much because that's the whole point of this series, but we just want to rotate so that it plays in the center. Then rotate the whole plane rotate the entire view such that plays facing forwards. That's the whole scope. So we make two new variables, Vx, this apparently, and Vy, also for this sprite only. First, we'll set Vx to the position of this sprite, subtract the X position of the player. That's why it's important to have the level be an actual. Then duplicate this, and then I'll set Vy. I would recommend getting this extension. It makes everything way easier. The Y position to the player's Y position. This centers the entire view such that the player's in it. Next up, make a new custom block called rotate view. Rotate view. Roundabout screen refresh. Oh, I forgot two new inputs. X and Y. Y. You remember what these do, like you can drag them out. So we haven't used them yet because there was no need for them. And we'll want to use this custom block immediately after this. And we'll just feed it the Vx and Vy inputs. Okay. We will reuse them since these are saved to their values. It doesn't matter if we change the Vx and Vy variables. These will not change. Okay. This is a mess. So first off, we want to grab a subtract block, and then we will grab a multiply block, the X variable, the X input variable, multiply them by the cosine of the camera dir variable. And then we'll duplicate this. Show the X for a Y, and the sine for a cos. Wait, what? No, the cos for a sine, sorry. And then just chuck those in there. And then we're going to have to do something very similar for Vy. But then we grab an addition block instead. And then we just duplicate the inputs down here. I'm doing it this way even though I can just change it. And then just swap these around. Yep, so this is script. By the way, fun fact, this same two equations could also be used to rotate any graph. Like one YouTuber I don't know made a video about him. You set X into this value, Y into this value. But you replace the camera dir variable with the angle you will rotate by. This is the same two equations. And yep, that's that done. Now all we need to do is just use this math in order to set the position. But we don't want to do it in this sprite, because that would require moving the sprite onto a different part of the stage. We don't want that to happen. We want it to stay fixed in that position. So we have to paint a new sprite. And we'll also name this one Pen. It's basically a weird name, but yeah. Okay, so then we choose a new costume. You can choose it from the library or good. And I'm going to stick with what grip patch or to choose, and that's Nano D. Okay. Just waiting for it to show up. Can't take a while. Just wait for it. There we are. Just get delete these other two costumes, and then we'll get to sizing them. Cause we both know, because we both know this is way too large. We need to make sure that they stay proportionate to the walls. So first off, we will first group all of the Nano's parts together. Because we don't want to change what Nano looks like, we just want to change how we scaled. And then we will I'm gonna make a square. I'm going to do this off camera because it might be a little difficult to scale it. Might be a little difficult. Okay, so goodbye. Okay, so you want to make a 200 by 200 pixel square, and then you want to drag the square so it's in the center of the drawing canvas. As you can see, I can also label it horizontally or vertically. That's just a feature I have. Yeah. And then you want to send this square to the back. So there's Nano. Now this 200 by 200 square is there to remind us where is the walls. Where's the top and bottom of the screen. So then we want to make sure that Nano is resting on the floor. Move his feet to the bottom of the square. Then you can drag it. Oh, I also have a feature where he automatically steps to the canvas. You probably won't, but it doesn't matter if it's a little off. Then you want to drag him so he's in the middle and touching the floor. This is very important. I'm not going to emphasize how important that is. If he's not on the floor, he's floating. And then just hide the square by making it transparent, in case we ever need it again. So then, we can start coding up this sprite. We're not going to have a when green flag clicked script. So we're just going to start with a when entity tick. We want, again, those two variables we had for the walls. Distance and height. Both for this sprite only. We want to set the distance variable to, well, that was the VY variable. So we set to entities. And then we can set to the not the VX. That is the VX. VY is where it's positioned relative to the level, and then we also need to set the height. The height of it is literally the same maths used for the regular one. Remember what it is? dv multiplied by 10 times dv divided by distance. Then we can set it to a set size block. Setting size to height. We don't want to set the y coordinate, otherwise it would go up. And we don't want him to go up, we want him to scale. So yeah, and then last actual block will be the go to XY block. Then we need to copy this maths, since we need the same maths for X direction, except replace the 10 with the VX variable that we made. And then the Y position, just keep it as 0, as we don't have any jumping. I mean, that would be impossible. So yeah, that is literally script. Oh wait, that's a VY. That could be very dangerous. So this is the script, and that should be all the scripts required. So let's test. There's Nano. He's got a pretty good position, But what if we want to drag him around to him? First off, with the player sprite, just make that 0. Set the ghost effect to 0, and then save for the level. We don't care about any other sprite. And this is where the draggable thing comes in handy. Because if we go into full screen, normally you can't drag sprite. See, no matter what I do, I cannot drag. But if I set mode to draggable, then we can drag the sprite. So, woohoo! Looks, and he's in his perfect position. In perfect position, no matter where he is. And that's going to be it for this episode. Sorry about that. This is the end of this episode. But definitely not this series. Because there's still one underlining problem. What? See this wall? Right? You can see Nano. What happens if Nano goes behind the wall? That cannot be good. As you can see, the sprite is in front of the wall. And that's something that happens if a sprites always appear above the pen extension. So, next episode, we are going to have to stamp him down using the stamp block, which can be drawn over. The only downside is he will appear a little bit more pixely than before. But that's not a big deal when compared to it. So that's why I named the sprite pen. But yeah, that's a little sneak peek about what we're going to do next episode. But yeah, that's going to be it for this episode. So like, subscribe, do all the things, or not, I don't really care. And goodbye.